So this UK rapper, who has had a #1 album in the UK before, was sentenced to 37 months in prison for importing cannabis to use to promote his final album. You guys must know Nines. Nines was retiring. He dropped his last studio album ever, he said. And the plan was to sell cannabis in packages with his album cover, Cloud9. That's what they were going to call it, but he later changed it to Crop Circle 3. He's due to meet a royal family member, Princess Anne, and his grandma suffered a heart attack. His mother has recently had a hip replacement, and he's not going to be able to take care of them for a little bit of time. Not too long. You'll find out at the end, guys. Keep watching the video to find out everything about Nines' trial. You guys know what time it is already. Full trial breakdown time. So if you could give the video a like, guys, let's get that out of the way. It'd be very much appreciated. Thank you. But the key people in this case: Nines' first solicitor, Rabba Cobain; Nines' second solicitor, Chris Henley; the prosecutor, Laura Kenyon; and Judge Simon Heptonstall. I think that's how you say his name. Remember those names, guys. Now, since 2023, Nines has been on tag for these offenses. He was on tag for over 600 days, and on the 22nd of September this year, he went to Kingston Crown Court and pleaded guilty to 3 offenses: failing to comply with a serious crime prevention order by failing to notify the police of a change of address between August and November 2023, being concerned in supply of a controlled Class B drug, namely cannabis, between the 1st of August 2023 and the 16th of November 2023, and also for possessing a controlled Class B drug, cannabis, on the 15th of November 2023. Now, Nines drove to Kingston Crown Court, but he didn't expect to be taken into custody. He ended up being forced to give his car keys to his lawyer because he didn't want his car to be left in the car park. Now, this was Nines' lawyer at the time, Rabba Cobain. I hope I've pronounced that okay. Rabba is ranked in both Chambers and Partners and the Legal 500, where he's described as one of the very best, a phenomenal talent, and an outstanding advocate with a strategic mind. He is frighteningly good on the law and has a very sharp intellect. He is constantly in demand and fights fearlessly for his clients. His previous cases: terrorism and murder, public law, sanctions, public international law, criminal appeals, finance crime, and asset recovery, and media. And Judge Simon Heptonstall, that was the judge, and finding a picture of him seems a little bit difficult, but I think that is him there giving a talk at a sixth form, because the lady next to him should be Judge Georgina Kent. That is what the Facebook header says. Can't really make out if that is the same person. I think so. I think that is the same person. And if over there, that is Judge Simon Heptonstall. And he said there is broad agreement between the prosecution and the defense as to the evidence and the messages Nines sent and received to his associate, cannabis supplier John Butler, are all accepted. This is John Butler right here. He's from Ripon, and he was jailed for over 7 years for the large-scale distribution of cocaine and cannabis. In April 2024, he pleaded guilty to possession with intent to supply cocaine and 3 counts of conspiracy to supply cannabis. On October 25th, 2024, he was jailed for concurrent sentences totaling 7.5 years. His Cody Craig James Kent, 43, of Carleton Minot in Thrisk, was the... Where the hell is that? I'm sorry, I know you guys get onto me and say, oh, how you pronouncing this place like that? You don't get onto me for the way I say Essex. I know it's Essex. You know, it's one word, but I say Essex. But come on, man. Carleton Minot in come on, bro. What? I need to look this up. It's a village in North Yorkshire. All right, it's a village in North Yorkshire. Whereabouts is it? Up there. Leeds, Manny, Sheffield, all right. His Cody's contacts in Spain and Albania enabled him to supply large amounts of the drugs. He was jailed for 3.5 years after pleading guilty to conspiracy to supply cannabis. And keep in mind, Nines was arrested in November 2023. Courtney Nicholas Sweeney, 26, of Urbank Top in Ripon. These have to be villages, because I've never heard of these places, bro. Not even like football teams, you know? Usually a football team will help you think like, oh, there, you know, there. No. But she was selling cannabis edibles, and she pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply cannabis and possession of cannabis. She was sentenced to a community order consisting of 18 hours of unpaid work and a £50 fine. All 3 defendants appeared at York Crown Court for sentencing on October 2024 of 2024, and they've been investigating them since June 2021, when Butler's car was stopped by officers as he drove to York, where he was found to be in possession of significant quantity of cocaine. Between December 2020 and June 2021, he was involved in the supply of large amounts of cannabis bud and cannabis edibles, some of which were destined to be exported to Australia in bulk amounts. They say he made serious threats of violence when people could not make payment. So that meant there was no need for a Newton hearing like Digger D had, where prosecution and defense quibble over the nature of the charge. So I remember Chris Summers said Newton hearings are kind of rare, but when they do happen, it's when you agree to plead guilty, but the defense and prosecution disagree on the basis of which you're going to plead guilty on. And that can affect sentencing, you know? If the facts are presented a certain way, it will look worse. So no Newton hearing, it's all good. Nines is driven to court. He's thinking, cool, like, I'm going to get bail, right? Well, Nines had his car parked in this car park, the Bittams car park in Kingston. £16 per day to park there, but you don't care about the prices. This is what the car park looked like. It's next to the court, but the judge rescinded bail and ordered Nines to be remanded in custody pending a sentence hearing. And Rabah Kerbane was quick to object and made it clear in no uncertain terms that, citing legal precedents, he believed that Judge Simon Heptonstall's decision to rescind bail was unlawful. And he believed so much that it was unlawful that they appealed at the High Court. And here it is. I saw this. This was posted on the 10th of October. The High Court refused a claim for judicial review brought by Courtney Freckleton, aka Nines, in respect of a decision of a Crown Court judge in Kingston to withdraw his bail after he pleaded guilty to 3 offences, including being concerned in the supply of cannabis. Megan Miller was instructed to represent the Crown's prosecution appeals and review unit in the judicial review proceedings. So the appeal flopped, and this is Miss Megan Miller. Megan is hardworking and forensically robust. She is thorough, diligent, and likable. She looks likable, you know? I don't know if you guys can see, but she looks very likable. So it took just over 2 weeks for Nines' appeal to be rejected. But it says that Nines was waiting for a while. You know, we had to wait until nearly 5 o'clock because Judge Simon was in another trial hearing crucial evidence, but he was then able to hear Nines' bail application, which he rejected. Nines' lawyer at the time said after his arrest at Heathrow on the 17th of November 2023, he had been on bail conditions since. On the 17th of November, when Nines was arrested in Heathrow, I will show you guys that video. Here we go. Here's the video of Nines getting arrested at the UK border. Yeah, not good, man, not good. And he was on tag since then. You know, he was bailed out since then. His lawyer said there are 200 pages of bail variations which have been granted. Some of them were to allow Nines to fulfill his work commitments, and others were due to ill family members. And this is where it takes a little bit of a turn, because we learned that Nines is the sole carer of his grandmother, you know? And as someone who lost his grandmother, you know, it's tough. You know, it's tough, bro. And I respect him for being his grandma's sole carer, you know, because we just see Nines. He's this rapper. Yeah, he's this superstar. He makes movies. Oh, I got rich off the corner selling haze. Oh, but he's got a real life, bro. His lawyer said Nines always returned his passport when needed, attended hearings on time, and signed on at the police stations without fail. The arrangement to plead guilty was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that he attended today and will attend in the future. And he said even the prosecution were neutral on bail. They're like, you know, usually the prosecution will say, yep, this man's dangerous, he shouldn't be bailed out. The prosecution were even neutral on this. He says Nines' father passed away in 2019, and that was the main reason for his heightened use of cannabis. He suffers from extreme depression, anxiety, and PTSD, and is the sole carer for his grandmother. This is what you don't hear, you know, because for them to say this in court, he must have received a diagnosis for this, you know. And obviously, as men in this world, especially as a grown man like Nines, you know, there's a little bit of a stigma to that, like, oh, we talking about, no, get up, keep going. Of course, as a man, every day you've got to get up and keep going. But these are the consequences of the streets. His lawyer even said he's got survivor's guilt. This is what is waiting for you on the end. All you guys on the roads, yeah, it seems like it's going good now, but at the end, this is Nines. This is the guy that a lot of people aspire to be like, you know, the guy who people would consider has made it. This is the consequences: extreme depression, PTSD, anxiety, and now 37 months in prison when he's only going to serve like 4 months. And I'll explain why at the end. Nines' lawyer said he has 2 daughters and his mother had recently had a hip replacement. His lawyer said Nines has stopped making new music and simply just wants to look after his 2 daughters. Understandable. He is at significant risk in custody because he was a music artist and is a target. He has been stabbed in the past in custody. The police still have his passport. We will continue to persuade you that there are alternatives to custody. Nines was on a stringent package of bail conditions. He's already on tag frankly, he knows the score. It's not necessary for him to go into custody at this stage. We are asking you to have mercy and doubt in his favor. But Judge Simon Heptonstall was not having it. He was adamant that Tankz's guilty pleas had changed the landscape completely. He has accepted from the communications that he was considering this enterprise at the same time a serious crime prevention order was in prospect. He has shown a disregard for the court and any controls imposed on him, said the judge. The sentence would be outside the range that could be suspended or considered as time served, even if it's reduced to 40%. I'm satisfied that there is a significant risk of further offending and that there is a significant risk that Tankz would offend while on bail. So the judge said, yeah, shut up. And then his lawyer said, what are we doing about his car though, man? You know, you guys remember his car? And the judge ended up allowing the custody officers that had taken Tankz into custody, you know, and obviously taken his car key to give the car key to his lawyer. But this isn't the first time, you know, like Tankz has a string of offenses from 2005 and all of them involve cannabis. I mean, in 2021, Tankz was jailed for importing 28 kilograms of cannabis. This was around the time EncroChat got Bearman busted. Tankz was one of the people who got busted in EncroChat. And the lady who put Tankz in jail is Laura Kenyon. This is her. Excellent criminal set with a justifiable reputation as a market leader. It's just mad. Put a man in jail, go home to your family, man. It's a weird world we live in. I don't know how old she looks, man. She looks like she could be my age or she could be 40. She can't be 40, probably 30 something. Definitely early mid 30s. But on the 15th of November, when Tankz was arrested at Heathrow Airport, he came back from Abu Dhabi. Police intercepted the flight and boarded the plane. And Laura Kenyon said the police took a set of house keys from Tankz, which happened to fit the front door of a property in South London. And the police say this was not an address that Tankz had informed the police about. Hence, that's why it was a breach of his serious crime prevention order. They searched the house and in a locked bedroom, they found designer clothes and trainers, and in the bedside table, cannabis products and snacks. Judge Simon Heptonstall later took relish in speculating that the snacks were designed to combat the munchies, which are common after a cannabis smoking session. How would you know, Judge? How would you know? Have you ever smoked cannabis before? Maybe you've gone abroad and smoked it legally. Guys, I really do think it's time to legalize cannabis in the UK before we continue, because it would just help with the quality, you know? I don't want to smoke all the time, but there's times where I want to have a smoke. Bro, I just want to be able to go to a dispensary, you know, and then when I buy it, I know it can be tracked where it's come from. It's all legal. You know, I ain't got to worry about this, that. Bro, it's tiring. Like when I'm in New York, when I'm in LA, you know, when I'm in Amsterdam, I ain't been Amsterdam in a while, but you know, when I'm in other places where it's legal, it's just so bakey. It's like, come on, what are we doing here, man? If Keir Starmer legalized cannabis, bro, I think he would be the best prime minister ever. But Laura said Tankz admitted the cannabis was his and told police he was a cannabis connoisseur and that the little bit of weed found in the flat was not a big deal. The real problem was that the police had discovered Tankz had negotiated a cannabis deal with Butler, a man who sold large consignments of cannabis on a Telegram channel called Train Station. Laura said Butler had recently pleaded guilty to supplying cannabis on a fairly large scale. She said that in 2023, Butler and Tankz went halves on an importation of nearly 2 kilograms of cannabis. Tankz would use his half, branded as Cloud9, to promote his latest album. And Laura said that the album was supposed to be called Cloud9, but later the title was changed to Crop Circle 3. The plan was to sell Cloud9 cannabis in shops across Amsterdam and Barcelona where it would be legal, but later she said the plan shifted to selling the product in the UK with specially designed bags ordered from Slapstar. Damn, so they managed to find an order that they made. So it's Slapstar's the producer. They're the ones who make the weed bags, and Tankz wanted to use the cannabis to promote his album. But the prosecutor said Tankz wouldn't have benefited financially from the sales of the cannabis, but would have benefited for promotional purposes. There was a degree of professional symbiosis between Tankz's enterprise and the cannabis-themed music that he promoted and was involved in. She said there was no evidence that the product Crop Cat, a mascot who Tankz often deployed as a promotional device, was seen handing out at an event was actually cannabis. Because if you guys remember at Tankz's last O2 show where he said it was his last show, there were rumors, people saying, oh yeah, he was giving out cannabis, he gave out packs and stuff like that, but they say there was no evidence of that. During the sentence hearing, Laura read out Tankz's full criminal record, which dates back to 2005 when he was a teenager and it's mainly offenses involving cannabis. Nines' lawyer, Chris Henley, who I'm going to show to you right now. There he is, Chris Henley. He switched from the other guy whose name I forgot. He's one of the busiest criminal silks in the country, highly regarded in all areas of serious crime, particularly murder, fraud, and terrorism. His work ethic, total commitment, empathetic, and tenacious approach to all his cases has marked him out from his earliest years in practice. Oh, he did the Damiola Taylor trial. If you guys don't know about Damiola, he was killed by gang members, I remember, and he was like Nigerian parents, and they were devastated. I'm sure there was a movie about that. But Nines' lawyer started off by saying Nines' grandmother had recently suffered a heart attack, and he was his grandmother and own mother's carer because his mother had also just undergone hip surgery. His lawyer highlighted some of the positives about Nines' stay in HMP Wandsworth, aka Wano, aka the same prison where HS Tiki Toki was. HS Tiki Toki spoke about being in prison with Nines and said he was a cool guy.
Everyone's saying Nines, yes, I was on the same wing as Nines. He's a nice guy. Showed me love. Didn't need to, never met him in real life. Come and showed me love. Big up to Nines.
And for those of you guys that don't know HS Tiki Toki, he's a streamer. You know, he was big on TikTok doing live streams and stuff like that. He was jailed because he went on the run for a driving offense that happened a few years ago. He was in jail for a little bit, but he's out now. Free, bro. He didn't do anything. They say Nines has made a powerful impression on the staff at the jail and has been chosen to meet Princess Anne, patron of the Catch-22 charity, who visited Wano last month to mark the first anniversary of the Prison Violence Reduction Scheme. Here we go. London Prison Violence Reduction Service. I'll show you Princess Anne. I didn't know who she was. Member of the British royal family. Nines is going to meet the second child and only daughter of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, and the only sister of King Charles. All right. Is it bad I didn't know who she was? I should have, innit? I don't know, man. Come on. My mum cares about the royal family a lot. I don't really care, bro. All I cared about was Elizabeth. Nines' lawyer said Patrina Kwashi Ferguson, a community worker, said Nines has been wholeheartedly supporting a number of initiatives on the Church End estate, which he had offered his time and his influence and also his money. And Nines is very influential there, of course. His lawyer said in order to generate a social media following, he was promoting his brand, and to promote the imminent release of the record, he was producing small quantities of cannabis. He said that amid the hundreds of messages between Nines and Butler, there were several which discussed how to behave in a legitimate way. Nines is the talented and energetic man who does not sit still. It's a matter he regrets, but in the run-up to the album, he decided to take advantage of the evolving Cloud9 brand as a cover for medicinal cannabis. As many other artists and rappers have done, he thought it would aid the visibility of his album, and they maintained that the idea was to create a buzz for the album. And I hear it, bro. Nines wanted to go out with a bang. You know, he wanted to go out with a bang. Like, yeah. And talking about the flat in South London, if you guys remember, in the flat, they found some loud there, designer clothes. His lawyer argued that Nines was one of those celebrities who would often be gifted large amounts of designer clothes, and he said he had dumped them in the flat, which he had not actually moved into on November 2023. But he admits Nines spent a few nights in the flat, which was against his serious crime prevention order. They say Nines is done with music and he wants to pursue other more long-term projects. They say Nines has worked with footballers Eddie Nketiah, Anthony Elanga, and one of the people he was hoping to work with was a marketing executive with Arsenal and FIFA. He got a character reference from Colin Batzer, chairman of EGA Distro Music Group and senior executive of Live Nation. Serious guy. His lawyer says Nines is someone who really wants to make a success of his life, and that the murder of his brother plays on his mind every day. He suffers from survivor's guilt and PTSD, and he suffered a violent attack in jail. His lawyer also said Nines declined visits because it would mean leaving his wing, and he feels safe on the wing that he's on. He's not someone who stares into space or watches television a lot. He thinks about how he can spend his time. Cannabis is something he has lent on a great deal, but he doesn't want to be in court. He doesn't want to be in 1-0. It's a waste of precious time, and he doesn't feel proud of it. Before sentencing, the judge got onto the CPS for failing to file the correct paperwork for updating the serious crime prevention order until 8:30 the previous night. You only did this paperwork at 8:30 p.m. last night. What are you lot doing? He was very disappointed by this, but said the CPS had now withdrawn the application for a new serious crime prevention order. The judge said to Nines, "You have made a success of your life from difficult beginnings, as described in your song, Crabs in a Bucket." He said, "Serious crime prevention orders are serious, and because you didn't notify us of this other address, you are sentenced to 17 days for this." Yeah, you got sentenced to 17 days. But that's just for the flat, innit? That's just for the flat. The judge went to the main offense and said, "I'm satisfied you took a leading role because it was your idea. your brand, and you were the attraction. It's the same as any celebrity bringing their brand to the market. The judge gave Nines 15% credit for his guilty plea, but the total sentence came up to 37 months. However, since the 22nd of September, Nines had spent 54 days in jail, and the 637 days he spent on tag calculated to the equivalent of 319 days in jail. And because he will only serve 40% of his sentence in custody, the judge said he will only serve 4 to 5 months behind bars. So Nines will spend Christmas in jail, but he'll probably be out by Easter. Nines is now 35 years old, and yeah, that is everything in Chris Summers' Substack. I will link it in the description if you want to have a proper read. It's a great read. He does dive into detail about some of the gang history, but Nines has never been convicted of any of those violent things, so there's really no reason to dive into the gang culture side of things, because I don't really see there being a link. You know, Nines is a rapper. Nines has never taken part in any of those things as far as the law shows. There's a few murders mentioned, but nothing legally linking Nines to these murders, so I don't think they're worth mentioning. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I think Nines is now getting tired, and I think what a lot of people who live this life start to realize as they get older, big up Nines, but being in jail is lame. You know, Trapstar Toxic, who's from Church Road as well, he did an interview that I saw not long ago where he spoke about his time going in jail. He was in jail recently. He's been out for like maybe a year, and he said the last time he went jail, it felt bad. You know, he felt embarrassed. He's in jail bucking all the jail cats, you know, the people who are in and out of jail, and he's just like, well, they were confused, like, why are you back in here, bro? And he, like, you know, it's like I think he said he can't go back there again. You know, a lot of people never have that realization, you know. And don't let this block future blessings. You know, who knows, marijuana could get legalized in the UK in the next few years, but because you've got a criminal record, you might not be able to even get involved or deal with the business. Who knows? But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love to every single one of you guys watching. Thank you.